Hey guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com. I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending May 2nd, 2016. This is episode number 41 of the recap, and the first bit of news has to do with a brand new game from X-Legend, Twin Saga. Area Games announced Twin Saga last week and is yet another X-Legend title, so expect gorgeous anime-inspired graphics. Even though it's called Twin Saga in the West, it's the exact same game as Astral Realm in Asia, and that's been out for a little while. From the looks of it, Twin Saga looks to be a run-of-the-mill X-Legend title with a few nifty features, namely the ability to switch classes at will, so maybe a bit like Eden Eternal or Final Fantasy XIV. Closed beta signups are open right now, but there's no word on a release schedule just yet. Next up, NCSoft released 2 new gameplay videos for their upcoming MOBA, Master x Master. Both videos are in English, which reveals that they're making steady progress towards an English release, hopefully soon. I remember the game went into open beta in South Korea back in May of 2015, so it's been about a year in Korea. The first video is a gameplay overview trailer which explains the game's unique mechanics, and the second is a new hero joining the ranks of the current 30 or so available. What makes Master x Master unique though is that players can choose 2 masters at the start of the game rather than just playing 1 hero at a time, so you actually get to literally play 2 heroes at once and can even switch between those freely even during battle, so it makes the game a bit more complex. And I'm curious to see how they balance that complexity with ease of use. And each hero also gets to select their own weapon at the start of the game too, further making things complicated. And again, I'm curious how they balance that all out. And unfortunately, there is still no release date or release schedule for Master x Master in the West, so we do have to wait for that. Up next, HeroWarz, an anime-inspired action RPG from COG Games, the makers of Elsword, is entering closed beta on May 18th. The game features both traditional MMORPG gameplay as well as a game mode called Arena TV, which is basically a MOBA within the game. Aside from the closed beta date coming up on May 18th, no word on the full release date or the open beta just yet, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. And the good thing about this closed beta trailer is that we can see some actual gameplay. It's not just another CGI trailer, so these are the good kind of trailers. We can actually see what's going on. Up next, Snail Games released a trailer for Lineage 2 Blood Oath, which is the mobile version of Lineage 2. It'll be launching in China relatively soon, but there's no word on a Western release date just yet. It does look like a pretty standard MMORPG, but on mobile, the key thing here is that it has an actual open world, which is something you don't see in a lot of mobile games, but unfortunately, it also has an autoplay feature, which is pretty popular in a lot of these Chinese games. The gameplay you're seeing in the background is from the official trailer, and it actually looks kind of decent, visually at least, but too bad it's got automated gameplay. That kind of sucks. Up next, a bit of news from Hearthstone. The game's Whispers of the Old Gods expansion is now live, bringing 134 new cards to the game. And along with the launch of the expansion comes some interesting data from Blizzard regarding the game's popularity. Hearthstone breaks 50 million registered users as well. So, I'm not sure how they count active users or just users, but 50 million regardless is a pretty huge number. And the number shouldn't be too surprising as the game made over $114 million in 2014. Not sure about 2015 numbers just yet, but that's still a lot of money. Next up, Secret World opened free trials to everybody. That's right, no more needing a friend pass or a key from a friend just to log into the game. If you wanted to play the Secret World, now's your chance. You just hop on, make an account, and you're good to go. You have 10 days of free access to the game. Keep in mind though, afterwards, the Secret World is a buy-to-play MMORPG. It is a one-time purchase. It is not a subscription, but you still have to pay for it once. Next up, we have a new MMORPG to announce this week, at least new on Steam, Atulos Online, a game I have never heard of until now. Apparently it's a 10-year-old indie MMORPG which just launched on Steam after a successful Greenlight campaign. It shows a trend of older MMORPGs just making their way to Steam because they can. It released back in 2006, so for even a 2006 game, it does look very visually inspiring, but it's on Steam now if you want to check it out, but it again, does not look too inspiring. Expect the first video for Atulos Online relatively soon. Move right along. A quick word from Tree of Savior. The game will be releasing as free-to-play on May 10th. We did mention, I believe, last week or so that the free-to-play date has been pushed back. We know now for sure it is May 10th, 2016, and then it'll be free-to-play for good, and that's all about Tree of Savior. Moving on. Up next, an interesting story came out for Black Desert Online from a blog called MMOG Fails. Apparently, Black Desert Online stores a lot of data on client side, which leaves the game uber vulnerable to hacking programs. The author of the MMOG Fails post was able to use Cheat Engine as well as a bypass tool to basically hack almost anything in the game, including character movement, cooldowns, minigames, HP, and MP. And he was actually bragging about how easy it was to do this. He was able to completely dominate PvP with such hacks. Of course, the game has an anti-hack program as well called Exigent Code, but of course it can be bypassed with any correct tools, and the problem is that they keep so much data client-side, which makes the game vulnerable. And keep in mind, all this hacking was on the Russian version of the game, but the fact that it's still the same game and everything is still client-side leaves the Western version vulnerable as well. Though we have not seen widespread reports of hacking just yet. Curious to see how this develops and if they can tackle this issue and prevent hacking, but I'm sure we'll find out more if things get bad or not. Next up, Robocraft launched its biggest expansion to date called Epic Loot, which, as you can probably guess, added a bunch of new loot to the game. It also revamped player progression, as well as added a bunch of other small tweaks to the game. The full patch notes are available on the official website, but the biggest changes are they removed the tech tree, so all weapons can be used at any level, as well as just added a bunch of new items to the game. If you've never played Robocraft, it's free to play on Steam and receives pretty stellar reviews, so it's definitely worth checking out. Next up, OG Planet announced a new update for Uncharted Waters Online. They'll be following up their 4-chapter Grand Atlas expansion with a new 3-chapter expansion called Episode Atlantis, with the first chapter being launched on May 12th. If you haven't heard of Uncharted Waters Online, it's one of the few Japanese-developed MMOs. It's developed by Koei Tecmo Games, and again, it's really one of the only Japanese MMOs in the West, and it still receives regular updates despite being fairly old. It's also one of the few remaining games OG Planet still publishes. I mean, they publish 3 client games, and Uncharted Waters Online is one of them. So if you're looking for a nautical MMORPG, Uncharted Waters is one of your only options. And yes, it's an official trailer in the background, but there is no gameplay in it, unfortunately. The next and last bit of news this week, guys, comes from EVE Online, and the game's Citadel expansion launches. And with all EVE Online expansions, the expansion is free, which is always awesome. It adds a lot of new stuff to the game, namely the ability for players to build their own gargantuan space cities, where you can actually dock capital ships, including Titans. So it's a pretty huge update for the game. And in fact, TCP CEO also revealed that the company's working on a TV series with Ridley Scott. So interesting to see how that's going to go. Maybe it'll promote EVE Online. It'll probably be set in the EVE universe or something. But yeah, it's a pretty major update for EVE Online, and I suspect it should reinvigorate the player base. Anyway, guys, that's it for MMO news for this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.